welcome to 7 Minutes of Science, your weekly high-speed rundown of the week's top science news stories, brought to you by me, Eddie Edwards, here from Mission Acceptable. Quite some pretty interesting news in the world of science this week. I'm certain that you're probably aware that the sun disappeared from the sky for a brief period, which, you know, is always a little bit newsworthy. But we've also got some interesting news coming to you from space, from Earth, and as it seems to be a running theme on this show, more bad news for bees. So, without further ado, let's give me the time on that clock, and in 3, 2, 1, let's do this. Okay, we want to start off with a very interesting story about sulfide chondrules. Yeah, I know that doesn't sound like it's going to actually match up, but trust me on this one. Basically, chondrules are little meteorites slamming to Earth, and they're made up of what was just molten rock material that was floating around at the beginning of the solar system being formed. You know, not much in the way that after you're building a big Lego model, you always end up with some bits left out and stuck around at the side. You don't really bother cleaning them up, and they just end up swirling around your body like a... Sorry, that's where the metaphor breaks down. Anyway, some of these have landed on Earth, and they're now called sulfide chondrules because they have a high sulfur content. Which is weird, because we didn't know that there was anywhere in the early solar system that had a high sulfur content, especially not between Mars and Jupiter. So this is a particularly interesting breakthrough. It says that there was a different environment, one we didn't know about at that period. This information hasn't been peer-reviewed yet, it has to be, it's a very interesting news, and it gives us another goal for future space exploration of meteorites, asteroids, and other stuff from that field. So, pretty interesting news from my perspective. Hey, and we're back with our old friend Comet 67P on Tuesday. What a lot of you might not know from my coverage of Comet 67P was one of the weird features of the surface was what looked like wind shadows, i.e. rocks with a load of dust behind them because the wind hadn't moved it because the dust was there. But obviously there's no wind on the comet, so it's a bit weird and unusual. Why is that? Well, it turns out there is actually a reason for this. Basically, small particles of dust are going up into the atmosphere, landing down, causing a splash, and that splash goes in all directions, but obviously doesn't affect the stuff behind the rock. But why have you got these lines? Well, because everything's going down the same way. It gives this wind channel a bit, because the spin of the comet makes sure that there's only one way that things can come down to land on it, that it itself is thrown off, thus giving the impression of wind, but not actually being wind, which is, I think, a pretty interesting little quirk of astrophysics that I find particularly cool and interesting. Fake wind in space. So, okay, tigers now. This is out of the University of Surrey. This is a new app you can download if you have an iPad. I'm guessing it will come to Android and iPhone later. But if you do have an iPad, download the wildsense app. It's a little game that you can play whereby you have to identify whether what you are seeing in the picture is a tiger or a drawing of a tiger or anything like that, because it just pulls in pictures from the internet map marked tiger, tag tiger. You look at the picture, you identify it, you fill in some few key details, you tag where the face of the tiger is, and this information is used in turn to help with conservation efforts. Basically, there's a huge problem with gathering this kind of data. They plan to use this with facial recognition software in the future at some point, so they can maybe identify individual tigers. And of course, a lot of these pictures are tourist pictures taken by those on holiday of tigers. They're geotagged. This means that they can tell where this tiger was. This is something that's being done in partnership with the Indian government, whose tiger conservation program has been a phenomenal success, and one that I really hope keeps going. So please go to wildsense, check it out. As always, link in the description down below. And bad news for bees again, isn't it? Of course it is. 9.2% of European bee species are at risk of extinction. Reasons for this are manyfold: climate change, loss of habitat, disease, pesticides, pollution. A huge number of reasons, but the most worrying thing about this is that the report actually refers to an alarming lack of expertise and resources. We don't have people, we've not really cared enough about this situation, and it's going to be a big deal. Bees pollinate plants. Plants grow food. Humans eat food. And look, the cost of having a person go around doing all your pollination for you for food production is prohibitively expensive. But in addition to that, no one's going to be doing this for wild flowers. So basically the countryside will die. So let's try and do something to save the bees. If you're out there and you're thinking of becoming a scientist, specialise in bees, it's the best way you can help. Friday, and I give you this wonderful picture of the solar eclipse. That you can see in the corner. Total solar eclipse occurred on Friday, visible only from the Faroe Islands and partially visible across those parts of the UK that weren't completely covered in cloud, which, if you've ever been to the UK or you live here, means not much of it. For those who are interested, there is another solar eclipse coming next year in Thailand, from which I imagine we'll have clearer skies. But also in 2026, there'll be another solar eclipse rolling through the UK, should you have missed this one. Like I say, not a total solar eclipse visible from the UK, but visible from the Faroe Islands. Tickets to the Faroe Islands were very expensive for the Friday. Because, yeah, I checked this out like a couple of months back because I thought it'd be cool to see. I may actually be going to the Thailand one, and if I do, I'll probably do it like a special thing on it. But yeah, total solar eclipse, very cool. One of the craziest things that you get to see on Earth. And if you actually work out, Sun is 400 times further away, but it's also 400 times bigger than the Moon, so this all comes together. The likelihood of that happening is astronomical. So it makes us pretty unique in this, not just like it's not a unique thing to see on Earth. It's probably a unique thing to see in the universe. So. And finally, there's a new crater on the Moon. Well, not a new crater. This is on the Earth side, facing side of the Moon. There is a crater that we hadn't previously discovered. It's not new. It's not popped up, which makes it very weird. We've been looking at the Moon for a very long time. Well, turns out we completely missed this crater that is now near the Serenitatis depression. Yeah, it's about 200 kilometres wide, caused by impact, and it's being named after Amelia Earhart, which I think is kind of wrong. I kind of get what they're doing. Oh, look, we never knew it was there. We didn't find it yet, but we still don't know what happened to Amelia Earhart. So, I mean, dude, seriously, I think it's a little too soon. Does you believe that Star Trek Voyager episode, in which case she's fine. And finally, a story that I wanted to cover just out of rage. According to a study released by University College of London, British people don't know how to make tea. Apparently you're supposed to make tea brew for 5 minutes, not 2. You're supposed to put it in a teapot and have this lovely whirling infusion and not have to think, do you know what, actually, I'd like tea. That it takes, my main thing in tea is that it shouldn't take me 5 minutes to, Jesus. Right, this is one of the worst things that I wanted to report on this just because of this very simple reason. This is snobbery masquerading as science. To say, oh, you don't let the full flavours infuse, so you don't get. Well, maybe people don't want the tea with the full flavours. Maybe there's actually a real strong argument to be made to actually having it slightly less flavourful. This is the point. If you're saying most people are doing it wrong, and I've never heard anyone go, oh, I fucking hate this tea, then it's probably actually you that's in the wrong, and not everybody else is tea making. So maybe you should shut your gob and stop having a pop at other people. Okay? If I went to someone's house and they tell me it's going to take them 10 minutes to make me a cup of tea and it's going to pot out and hit them. Anyway, that's 7 minutes of science and, 6.5 minutes of science and half a minute of me ranting about people who trying to tell me I don't know how to make a cup of tea properly. Anyway, I tried this 5-minute method. It wasn't noticeably better. It also says you shouldn't use tea bags. What sort of world is he living in? Jesus. Anyway, thank you very much for watching 7 minutes of science. I hope that you, as always, have enjoyed watching as much as I enjoy making this thing. Let's be honest, if I didn't enjoy making it, I wouldn't do it. No one's watching. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a comment down below. Do whatever. Follow me on Twitter, whatever you like, whatever it takes your fancy. If you think there's somebody else out there in your life who might want to see what I'm doing here, share, post it on their Facebook wall, give them a hello, say, hey, look, there's a science show you can check out. It might be fun. Anyway, thank you very much for watching as always, and good luck in your endeavours if your endeavours be good. Goodbye.